Hello there, you beautiful people, and welcome to this lecture on packing and unpacking variables. Now, sometimes entering values into a function is a bit restricting or a downright pain. Now, in this video, you're going to learn some tricks that's going to make working with functions an absolute dream, especially when they get quite complicated. So the concepts we're going to be looking at might be a bit tricky, but I'll try my hardest to simplify them as much as possible. We're going to look at the concepts of packing and unpacking variables, and while potentially difficult to grasp, these are incredibly useful concepts. We're going to look at unpacking arguments and packing arguments, as well as unpacking and packing keyword arguments. So after this lecture, you're going to be able to make much more flexible functions, and also using functions should be a lot easier for you as well as your projects get bigger and bigger. So let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, let's check out how to unpack arguments. To show you this, I'm going to use the simple print function. If we do print of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see that we're passing in 5 arguments to the print function, and it's just going to print them all out on one row. Okay, now if I have a list of numbers and I put in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I print numbers, yeah, we're just going to see a list pop up, okay, because we've passed one argument to the print function, which was just one list. Now, if I unpack the list before we print it, like this, okay, we're going to put numbers in there just like normal, but at the front, I'm going to put an asterisk or a star, okay? This is what you use for multiplication. It's the same symbol. So now we're going to unpack the list before we print it. And what happens then? You see we get exactly the same result as earlier on. Okay, so what's happening now when you unpack arguments is that we take each item from an iterable data type, like a list, and each of those items becomes its own argument to the function. So instead of having one big list of 5 numbers, we now have 5 mini arguments, 1 number each. Pretty sweet, right? So you can unpack any iterable data type before they go into functions. So this means this is going to work for strings as well. If I just print ABC, right, I put in one argument to the function, and you see ABC just as one string come to the screen. But if I print the unpacked version of ABC, using this star at the beginning, now we're going to see A, B, C. Okay, that's the same as typing this. Oops. So you can see it unpacks into each individual item as an argument to the function. And you see we get exactly the same thing right there. So that's pretty useful, right? Okay, so the next thing is how to pack arguments. We've done unpacking. How can we pack them? The way this happens is it works inside a function. So let's create a function that adds 2 numbers. So define add x and y, and we're going to return x plus y. Simple, right? Just what we did a few videos ago. Now, if I put 2 numbers in this, okay, this function's going to work great. I can do 10 plus 10, and that's going to work absolutely fine. But it's slightly limited, because this function only has 2 parameters. It won't work for 3 numbers, or 4 numbers, or 5 numbers, and so on. It's only going to work for 2. So what we can do is, instead of putting x and y up here, we can just type this. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to copy and paste the thing, and I'm just going to pack in as many numbers as possible. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to pack whatever arguments that come in into one tuple called numbers. Okay, and because tuples are iterable, we can loop through them and add them up. So what we can do is we can say total equals 0 for number in numbers, total equals total plus number. Then we're going to return the total. Okay. Now, watch what happens here. Now, I can add in as many numbers as I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to see that's going to give us back 45, which is true. Okay. What happens is all of these arguments get put into a tuple called numbers. It's basically like doing this. It's basically like taking all of this and saving it in a tuple called numbers. Then we loop through that tuple and add them all up and then print out whatever that value is. Okay, so or return back whatever that value is. So we can now add up any amount of numbers. And what we've learned is that packing is very useful when you don't know how many arguments you're actually expecting, and it makes your function a lot more flexible. So instead of just having to define x, y, z, a, b, c, d, e, f, g to take up all the things and taking all the numbers and giving them a default value of 0, for example, if they weren't entered, all we have to do now is just pack them all in to one tuple and loop through the tuple, and that tuple can be as big as we want. So it's given us a lot of flexibility. So that's packing. So what about keyword arguments? Well, keyword arguments, just so you recall, are if you have a function, if I can just get rid of this line, if you have a function like add, okay, and instead of just typing 1 and 2, let's say, where these are positional arguments. So the first thing we've typed is going to become the first parameter, and the second thing we've typed is going to become the second parameter. Keyword arguments would be like this: y equals 1, x equals 2. Okay, so we're saying which parameter this value is. How can we pack and unpack these? Well, we're going to start with unpacking, and this is basically going to, instead of producing, it's basically going to work on the concept of dictionaries. Okay, so let's bring back the function we made previously that tells us about someone. We're going to say define about, name, age, likes, and we're going to have a sentence, meet so-and-so, they are blank years old, and they like blank. And we're going to format their name, their age, and their likes. And then we're going to return that sentence. Okay, so now let's say that we have a dictionary like this. Okay, our dictionary is going to be name, and that's going to correspond to Ziad. We're going to have age, and that's going to correspond to 23. And we're going to have likes, and that's going to correspond to Python. Okay, so we've got a dictionary like that. Now we can unpack this dictionary into this function. And the way that we do that is, instead of just typing 1 star, we type 2 stars because they're keywords. Okay, let's just remember that. 1 star for normal arguments, 2 stars for keyword arguments. And we type the name of the dictionary, which is dictionary here. Now when I show you that, that's going to say meet Ziad, they are 23 years old and they like Python. And the good thing about dictionaries is I can type these in whatever order, right? Because it's the key that is this is becoming the parameter, and this is becoming the argument. This is becoming the parameter, this is becoming the argument. It doesn't matter what order that I put those in, it's still going to work the same. So this is exactly the same as typing about name equals Ziad, age equals 23, or not like that, age equals 23, and likes equals Python. It's exactly the same thing, but you don't have to type it by hand, you see. You can just have some kind of automatically generated data structure and then just pack them all in at once. So that's pretty straightforward, right? Now, for this to be useful, you need to remember that the dictionary will very likely be generated automatically somewhere else in your program, so you won't be typing it out by hand like I just did. That kind of defeats the point. So finally, let's have a look at how you can pack keyword arguments using the double star operator, just like we did here. So I'm going to make us some space, and I'm going to define a function called foo and pass it just one parameter, or give it one parameter called Kwargs. Now, Kwargs is just a convention. It's short for keyword arguments. There's another convention as well where you just have star and args, which is just short for normal arguments, which is what we've been seeing up here. So you know how you see how up here we called it numbers? In the Python community, that would be called args, but you know, you can call it whatever you want. It's just a convention. So I'm going to stick with double star Kwargs. Now, when we pack something, when we pack down these keyword arguments, we're going to produce a dictionary out of them, and that dictionary is going to be called Kwargs. Just like up here, we made a tuple of them. We made a tuple called numbers. Here, we're going to make a dictionary called Kwargs. And what we want to do, we just want to print and show what the key was and what the value is for that specific, I guess, that specific keyword pair. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for key, comma, value in Kwargs.items. Okay, this is going to give us basically a set of tuples, and each one is going to have a key and a value, and the key is going to match the key and the value is going to match the value, basically. We just want to print blank, comma, blank, and format in there the key and then the value. So now watch what happens if I do foo of Huda equals female and Ziad equals male. We're going to see that that is going to produce a dictionary of these keywords, and then it's going to loop through that dictionary and give us the appropriate format, which is quite neat. So if you've got a bunch of keyword arguments that you don't know what they're even going to be called yet, we didn't define a keyword to be called Huda, we didn't define a keyword to be called Ziad, but this kind of dealt with the whole process. So this could be as long as we wanted. We could have John is going to be male as well. You see that it works in exactly the same way. So that's how you pack down keyword arguments into a dictionary and loop through them. And that's it. Now, I know this is quite a hardcore lecture to digest in just one bite. So have a go at playing it a few times to help it sink in. And also, you know, just have a go. Just jump in there and try it out yourself and see if you can get it to work on your own. You'll learn a lot more by doing. Trust me. Now, let's have a quick review of what we've done in this video to help you remember all of this stuff. First, we use the star operator. And the star operator is used to pack and unpack just regular old iterables. You can pack them into tuples inside of functions, or you can unpack them as arguments when you put them into a function. So the example where we used this was to make the add function. Do you remember where we could add up any amount of numbers that we wanted? So after that, you saw the double star operator, which is exactly the same concept. It works for keyword arguments. Now you can unpack keyword arguments into a dictionary inside of your function, or you can pack them into a dictionary for your function. Okay, so it's going to work in pretty much exactly the same way. It's just it uses a dictionary because there's two pieces of information, right? There's the keyword and the value, whereas before there was just a value. So if it doesn't all make sense in the first time you've gone through this, just watch it again and again, and I promise you'll most likely get it by the third time you see it, I promise. So, and if you aren't following along and trying it out and coding along, then give that a go. Practice makes perfect. Now, the next video holds this section's project. It's going to be an XO, tic-tac-toe, or noughts and crosses game, however you want to call it, but it's going to be quite a challenge, and it's going to use almost everything that we know. But it's going to be an amazing feeling to actually play a game that you've actually created yourself, and it's going to be a great testament to just how far you've come by using the Python Bible. So to get started making our game, I'll see you in the next video.